How about you, Sandra? Speak to the young lady who's out there thinking, someday I want to have a career, or I want to get married, I want to have a family. You're a very gifted lady. I remember when I was in Kuala Lumpur, you had a business going on the side. By the way, she had a business where she made some of the most delicious carrot cake you could ever put in your mouth. It was kind of funny because I knew the food would be good, but I didn't expect to encounter carrot cake in Kuala Lumpur, KL carrot cake. They call Kuala Lumpur. Yeah, it was fantastic. I grew up, my mom made that as a kid, and I loved the food. But as a young woman, speak to those who are watching, Sandra, who are, looking at life and thinking, man, I want to find the right guy. Is it worth giving your heart to Jesus?
I truly believe that it's worth giving our lives to Christ. I didn't always come from a Christian home. My family, we were Buddhist, and I'm very, very glad to have invited Christ into my life as a teenager. In fact, when I was 16 years old. And the moment Christ came into my life, He just took over and turned my life around for good. I am so thankful for a changed life, one that God has just given me the opportunity to be a person, to grow in character, to have a plan, to know that there are plans in God's heart for me. And I didn't really know who I was. I had to deal with my identity.
Sure.
My parents didn't always say the right things to me, and so with Christ, I've completely turned around. You wouldn't believe I was a shy person, but I am. But right now I'm on TV. But that's what God does.
Right. Look what God does.
He does something. It's worth. Every young lady should have a choice to choose to follow Christ or not. Because if Christ doesn't become the man in your life, you will end up choosing many other men who will not every man will destroy your life, but very few women, young ladies who turn into women later, could say that first encounter with that guy has brought has added value to their lives. Yes. Many times they have been taken advantage of. Many times they have not been given, the right encouragement, and they've been used rather than been blessed or been accepted for who they are. So if Christ can be that one man, the first man in our lives, then from then on, every choice that we make, we have that guiding light. His direction in our lives.
Sandra, I really believe the Lord has prompted you to speak those words, because just a minute ago, as you were talking about your testimony, you made this statement. You said, when Jesus comes in, He takes over. Mm-hmm. And what immediately rose up in my spirit is what I think some young people struggle with. Maybe you're watching today, and this is where you are. I know at one point in my life, I was in this place where I had come to believe that there was a God, that Jesus was His Son, that the Word of God was true, that I should give my heart to Jesus. But the idea of surrendering my will and letting Him, as we say in America, call the shots, make the decisions, was a bit scary to me, because I thought I knew what I needed to do in order to be happy. You talked about being a lawyer. It's interesting, Kenneth. My dream was always to be a lawyer. I didn't want to be a preacher. My great-granddad was a preacher. He had 5 sons. They were all preachers. One of those was my granddad. My father was a preacher. My mother's a preacher. My brother was a preacher. We had so many pastors in our family, I used to say, we're pasteurized. We don't need any more pastors. And I thought that being an attorney, entering into the political life of our country, was what I needed to do to be happy. And I was afraid to give my heart to Jesus. Later, I found out that the God who knew me better than I knew myself knew better than me what would really make me happy. That's right. And when I came to Him and said, you take control, you choose. You talk about the choice of a mate. Maybe it's the choice of a career. I remember when I was teaching in Bible school, young people sometimes would come to me and say, Pastor Mark, oh, I'm afraid to really make Jesus the Lord of my life, because what if he asks me to marry someone I don't love? You know, what if he doesn't do as good a job as I would do at choosing a husband for a wife? I can look back now, I'm almost 50. I came to the Lord and I had an encounter with Christ as a child, but then came back to the Lord at 17. And when I think back over what it was like when I was doing my own thing at 17, and what it's been like now for the past 30 years endeavoring to do His will, I can say honestly, I'm happier now when I'm not happy than I was before when I was happy. And if the Lord appeared to me tonight like He did Solomon and said to me, ask anything you want to and I'll do it. If He said to me, Mark, you've been preaching and doing what you thought you didn't want to do. You laid aside what you wanted to do. You want to be a lawyer. My dream was to be a senator. In the United States Senate, we had family friends in politics and stuff, and that's what I wanted to do. If He came to me tonight and He said, you've done this now for over 30 years. I'll let you go back and do whatever you want to do, and I will supernaturally speed it up and put you where you would have been. You'll succeed. You cannot fail. I would beg Him to not make me do what I wanted to do, but instead let me do what He chose for me to do. Has that been your experience? Could you say that you're glad, Sandra, that as a young woman, you let God choose your husband?
Yes, very, very thankful.
And Kenneth.
Well, for me, it's I can't say Kenneth was my first boyfriend.
Sure.
So, so when I finally met him, I could tell that when I just surrendered to God and not worry about my choices and just what I want, He has given me the best. And it just needed some time.
That's right.
And most times we're not willing to wait. Most young people aren't willing to wait because we want it to happen now. But life doesn't just happen, now. Everything happens now. It has a pace. You got to pace your life. And you got to be in the right group of friends.
Yes.
Good influence.
That's very good.
And have, great older men and women who will be able to also advise you and speak into your life. And they've been further. And I think these leaders or father figures, mothers around us can give us a bit more tips on life. So.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you've been blessed by this video, please share this with a friend and bless them too. Do like this video and subscribe to this channel for more content like this. Wishing you all good health and God's grace and favor to be upon all of you. God bless you. See you next time.